Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Hopefully I didn't overwrite my last one. Let me set this up. Yeah. So before we get into this replay, I want to cover something. This is actually from Operation Desert Storm, but what this is this is an assault plan, right? And I know it's got a lot that's kind of hard to understand. What I want you to look at is all these PL Vermont, PL Kansas, PL Wisconsin, Colorado, New Jersey, right? These are phase lines. Anytime you have a breach or an assault plan, you have what's called phase lines. So basically, all of your armor, mechanized infantry, all that stuff is lining up at phase line Vermont. And you'll have a start time. Say, okay, at this start time, everything needs to be lined up and ready to go. It moves, and each individual unit executes their assault plan until they get to phase line Kansas. Phase line Kansas means that everybody stops, right? Everybody stops at phase line Kansas and waits till everyone is there, and then they move up again. Same thing with Wisconsin, Colorado. It's because you have different stages of an assault, and you need everything to move all at once, right? I want y'all, I realize this is real stuff, and we're playing a video game, and I get that, but the principle still applies. You go to a certain extent, you regroup, collect yourselves, wait till everyone's ready, and then you move up again, right? Just keep that in the back of your mind whenever you're playing. The first thing I am going to say about the Macedonian army is I would bring the Royal Peltast. Well, I wouldn't, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to have more success with the Royal Peltast than you will a Shield Bearer. I would try and find a way to make that into your army. Alright. Manually fire your arty. So you're just going to give a right-click attack order. Don't just give an attack order. You know how to manually fire artillery, right? Okay, we're going to go into a custom game and we're going to figure out how you need to manually fire artillery. Always manual fire. You will save so much more ammo. It is much more accurate than just giving a right-click attack order. You can do that for inside the settlement against troops because it's okay for it to have a bit of a spread. Here, you should be manually firing. And you actually want to aim right here on this corner, right? So what that's going to do is the artillery round is going to land on one side or the other, and then it'll bounce. So that little inaccuracy that artillery has, you're actually taking advantage being there in the corner. Sometimes you can get double, and I've even seen triple hits from doing that. You'll save artillery ammo from doing that. Another thing to consider... Go ahead. Okay. Like I said, remind me at the end of this. We'll go into a custom lobby, and we are going to figure out how to manually fire artillery, because you all can. It's just something along the lines is getting missed. The other thing to consider about your attack plan, and you'll see it come into fruition later, is this wall right here. Now, you have several different options, but the big thing that you dealt with is they were putting troops up here on the wall, and they were peeling you. You have several different options of how to deny them that ability. The first one is to destroy the arrow tower, right? They can't get up on an arrow tower. If the arrow tower gets destroyed, so does the stairwell. Another thing would be just to have a turret here and break down this wall. You break down that wall, they can no longer go across it. The only problem is that means you have to have a dedicated force here, because if you just have one unit breaking down a wall, they're just going to kill that one unit. So you kind of have to really invest a lot just to break down that one wall. But it's not too difficult. You move a tort up, break down that one piece of wall, move everything back over. Now they can't get units up on that wall. Same thing with over here, and y'all are going to do it later. But really think of your attack plan with your torts. Think of how you attack. Think of where are the stairwells. When we're attacking, where can they get people up on the wall? Where can we get people up on the wall? A great example is even if you're not moving in, and you'll do it later, but if you would have started out and knocked down this stairwell, now they can't get units up on the wall. But with this one, if you leave this one open, you can. So it kind of gets into a situation to where it turns it in your favor, and basically this entire street, they just can't cover it anymore. You don't necessarily have to do that here because you can have Archer, but we'll get there. Wait to move your army until your artillery is done. You have two jobs at the start of the battle. There's the artillery guy who's going to shoot his artillery. There is the other person who watches for sally outs. He's looking at the gates. He's looking for where people are going. Another little issue y'all had with your setup. This Noble Hoplite is way the fuck out in Narnia all by itself. I realize you're having that to block a cav sally out, right? And you still have this one, which you have your shield bearer gen kind of in the area, but you can condense this a lot more. You guys are very, very spread out. I mean, these guys are way off by themselves. There's a little pocket there. There's a huge group here. There's a little pocket here. There's nothing actually protecting your artillery. Not really. You have a Rhodium by himself. Your Gens by himself. All these units, I would say, are by themselves. If they get in trouble, it's going to take a minute to get help. Condense your forces. With this particular setup, I would probably have RDI probably in about that much of a box. And then Macedon, you could be in this much of a box. You can manipulate these choke points sometimes. Usually it's just better to keep your troops consolidated. That's a very hard target to hit. The one bad thing is he does have a Scorpion. Luckily you brought a Cav. That's way the fuck over here. But you did bring a Cav at least. It can help against a Scorpion. It won't in this particular situation because of his gen, but you can. One of the things that's going to happen here is he's going to try and use his Scorpion to take care of your ballista. This is absolutely perfect, and let him do it. And here's why. Your men in the artillery crew carry the ammo, right? Each one of these motherfuckers has 15 boulders on their back. The RD piece itself does not contain any ammo. So he has to kill all 4 of your ballistas with that Scorpion before it actually has a real effect on the battle. Focus on the tower. You can try and get the Scorpion, but as soon as I saw he was doing fire shot against your ballista, I would have just completely ignored him. It's not a terrible idea to still try and get artillery rounds, but just because of the angle, because your artillery angle ends here, it's only like 1 or 2 pieces that actually shoot, and they're pretty inaccurate because that's pretty far at a pretty extreme angle. You didn't really get any value shooting off in that direction. I don't hate the decision to try, but you just don't have to. That comp that Billy Bob just posted up is a fantastic Macedon comp. That gets your 3 Cretans and your Balearic. So yeah, him shooting your RD piece there doesn't really matter. Prioritize the tower, especially with your RD. The RD piece is very, very important, and not in a killing troops way, but it is very important to your attack plan. So the biggest thing that you need to try and concentrate with your artillery is executing the part of the attack plan that cannot be done with anything else. The RD is the only thing that's going to kill this tower. So that's what it needs to focus on. If you can kill that tower by the time he finishes off your RD pieces, it will have fulfilled its job. It's going to suck to not have ammo, but you're going to take a lot less losses from doing little pop shots inside the settlement here as opposed to that tower being up. Again, nothing should be moving yet at all. All of this stuff should be completely still. You should be focusing on the tower. You moving up these turrets and everything else, it's a no-go. Now, if there is a sally out in this situation, you have so much that you're trying to do. A sally out is going to make you lose your fucking mind. This is a no. One, he has a Pontic Cav. I don't know if you could see it, but he had a slinger up here on the wall for anything that tried to chase it down. And this Cav's speed is only relevant to that Thorax because it needs that Thorax going up against a Pontic Royal Cav. Just hold your ground. Again, this is one of those to where maybe you learn that it is possible for a Scorpion to get the artillery pieces. Like I said, I would just sit there and let him do it. But move it over a little bit, and now he doesn't quite have the same options that he does. I know that for some of the fights that Paint and I did, one of us would just sit there with an artillery piece. Load up a custom game, sit there with an artillery piece, have a whole bunch of them, see what the accuracy is in different spots. See how good a shots you're getting on towers in different spots. You can do stuff like that. Again, that's a small part of your game that's going to help you out a little bit, but it does help. But at least, now that you know with this one practice, if I'm on this map and we attack here, the normal attack spot is here, by the way. Not here. But both are viable options. You can do both. But now we know if an RD piece is here, it can get hit by a Scorpion tower that's just right outside the gate. Or not a Scorpion tower. Usually, if you're trying to hit towers, you want an angle. So actually having the RD something like here would have been a little bit better. That's kind of far. You can move it a little bit closer, but you kind of want an angle into the tower. Alright, glitching torts. This made you upset, and I can tell you exactly why it did it. You need an attack order on one of these at a time. Don't even have it saying to knock it down. One at a time, you've got to knock these down. Do not give the attack order until the first wall has fallen down. No. This has an attack order right now. This is about to. That has an attack order right now. So you'll see, I can tell you it has an attack order because as soon as that dropped, he dismounted the tower. Now the turret. Now it's glitched. So now you have this one going with the one right next to it, and then now you have an attack order on that corner as well. So you're going to have another one glitch out here. I think you actually might have two. Do not move units in while you are knocking down walls. Knock down all the walls, get the walls knocked down, get ready for your assault, then go in. This goes into that phase line thing. First phase, use the artillery, watch for sally out. Second phase, knock everything down that you're going to knock down. There are certain situations where you can have a tort. Just as an example, I know you said you can knock this one down for the wall purpose, but let's ignore that for a second and act like there is no staircase here that you have to worry about. But you know you might have difficulty pushing this street. You can put a tort here and not knock it down and save it if you need it to knock down that wall to take care of a choke point. That's the only situation to where you don't knock everything down. If they aren't holding the walls, knock everything down. Always, always, always knock all your stuff down. It will bite you in the ass, and people can take advantage of it if you're trying to do multiple things at once. Again, troops do not move in until all the walls are knocked down. I think you guys actually got lucky because you do this several times, and I don't think you might have lost one militia there, but it was probably to the tower. So this was kind of funny because I heard you guys talking to each other and saying we can't, and I can't see what you guys are drawing or anything, but I'm assuming you guys said we can't push this way because they have sword side. And you know what you guys immediately did after that? You pushed that way. You literally called it out and then you did it. And I cannot for the life of me understand why. This militia hoplite is perfect for dealing with this situation, right? Because you know you're going to get sword-sided. Like I said, I heard you guys call it out, and you still did it. Just have a militia hoplite here. If they want to shoot the militia hoplite, good for them. Again, out of ammo Therios, put them in square, put them right there. Give them terrible units to go against. I know you were talking about hoplite wall. For militia hoplites, most of the time I'm going to tell you don't use hoplite wall. One, hoplite wall is finicky, and even in hoplite wall, militia hoplites are not going to do well. I might actually try and use it here. You could put this militia hoplite in hoplite wall, and then have your Therios throwing right here. What you need to do is have this Therios be skinny. Instead of being wide out like this, have it skinny on the side where you want the Pila to go. You're still going to basically get a lot of front shots here, but you can manipulate that to go in your favor a little bit. And you're about to see it, and again we'll load up a game and I'm going to show you guys an actual application of this, but you're about to move this thorax in and look at what it does trying to go through this Therios that's standing still. All these units inside of each other, and now there's barely any of these thorax making it through, and you get this really broken up charge. And now you're in combat. Now the charge is gone, right? And you still have all of these units back there. This one was not a particularly bad case of it, but it's still, units are in the way, right? And again, you're moving your thorax for them to get sword side now. And it's going to hurt, and it does hurt you. I know one of the things you talked about was, why did this Hastati beat out my thorax? Because he's got archer support. And Hastati is an extremely respectable low tier. Very good combat unit. So the space they're giving you guys is here, right? And you guys have a thorax here, a Therios that's almost out of ammo right there, and then a militia hoplite here. There is so much room to get more in. If this thorax runs into trouble, there's nothing to replace it other than Illyrian Therios, which is not a combat unit. And then for here, you have a militia hoplite, which is not a combat unit. You definitely need to have more in there. Yes, they'll get the charge off on the units that the hoplite is not engaged in. So a lot of times with hoplites, your hoplite can't expand to the width of the other unit. So there's going to be a part that's kind of curving around, giving you that melee defense debuff, right? And that's what you want to fix. So you try and focus your charge, and we'll find it at some point in time here, because I know there is one for the battle, and I'll show a perfect example of this. But you try and hit that charge on that part of that exposed enemy unit. You can 100% cycle charge that to death. You'll clean up the flank for the hoplite very quickly, and the hoplite will do better. Not only that, but that unit is constantly focused on being engaged on the hoplite, and you're getting free charges off on it. If it's in the back, if it's just straight in the back, you're not getting anything out of it. So this is a problem, and this is another reason this thorax died quickly. He didn't chase it, which you got lucky, but better players will absolutely make you pay for this little maneuver. You were getting sword side, you didn't want it, so you turned the unit, but this unit was actively engaged in melee. You have a Therios right here. Tell him to move the Therios in, or your militia, because it's a lot easier to battle buddy yourself than it is for someone else to battle buddy you. Move a unit in, then manipulate your thorax, and then put the thorax back in and take that battle buddy back out. This particular thing worked out for you a little bit, but it's just turning into a mess now. I don't know if this doesn't have an attack order, or it's acting wonky, or it's got formation attack. I have no idea why this thorax wanted to do this. But it is what it is. It's done now. What he is giving you, though, this is a perfect example, or a perfect situation to not have to deal with sword side anymore, because there is a gap here now. Right? Move this Therios in. This Therios can engage that Hastati from the front. Now he cannot get sword side on you. If you had infantry reserves like you should here, you would be able to move a real unit in to get that Therios back out. And then you don't have to deal with sword side the rest of this engagement. The tower belongs to you. They can either stay there and take arrow tower damage or not. But this is just one unit. There's a gap. If you're quick on this, you could have eliminated all of those problems. I talked about formation attack. One of the first things you should do, formation attack off, fire at will off, guard mode. Every single unit should all start out like that. You change it when it needs it. So you turn fire at will on when you're ready to get your Pila off or whatnot. Now the problem you have is you are just going to feed this Hastati kills, right? This hoplite should have already been in here. This in square is going to hold them. You guys lost on time, and I've sat here and preached how you don't have to worry about time in 2v2s, and you guys are making me eat my own words. This Illyrian Therios spear will last quite a while against this Hastati and kill almost none of it. So you are delaying, you are causing the time delay right now. You're doing a defensive tactic on offense. There is no reason to be in square unless you're trying to delay, make a unit hold longer, or get Pila angles. None of those are being accomplished right now. You don't need to do this. This archer. Okay, so you are the counter archer, and I'll give you the benefit that you didn't see all of his in there, but he has archers all around here. Getting your archer in here was a huge mistake. So we'll address a couple of these. And this thorax, you can put this thorax in shield wall and try and make sure he keeps facing that way, because this can easily turn again, and it does later on. This whole thing turns again to where you're facing that way. Try and manipulate it to where shield wall is a good thing to use. Put them in shield wall, give them a double attack order, and push this backwards. Shield wall and hoplite wall can physically move other units. It takes a while. It's not necessarily a surefire way to just move something back, but it does have that effect. So like I said, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here with your archer unit, because you can't see his archer units. But as the problem you have here, number one, before you engage in an archer fight, you should be like at a quarter ammo or less. You want to get most of your value from your archer before the engagement starts. That makes it to where if you do lose the archer fight, or any losses you do take are not hit near as hard. Just like the artillery, The individual man carries the arrows, so each individual person has 15 arrows to shoot in this unit. When one dies, you have lost 15 arrows. That's 40 damage apiece, so what is that? 600 damage? I've got to be doing that wrong. Let me write it down here. But just for numbers' sake. Yeah, that's 600 damage. One guy dying is 600 damage that you have lost out on. Keep your archer healthy. Use it against good targets. Get it down to like a quarter ammo, and then worry about the archer engagement. Like I said, I will give you the benefit of the doubt that you can't see this. But just keep in mind, when you see that he has archers already in place, one of the problems with archer engagements that you'll run into, this Cretan has to go over all of this bullshit, get put into place, stop, and then attack. His archers that are here, they don't have to move one bit. You're just going into their range. A much, much better placement for your archers is going to be out here. The reason being, you don't have sword side on these guys, and this is just Hillman, but he'll have Pontics here too. You don't have sword side on them, but Pontics especially, you can shoot those shield side if you have to. If you're having difficulties with this engagement, you can shoot things left-hand side to make it go by faster, to put the battle in your favor. Just because you're shooting something shield side does not mean it's completely ineffective. It's just less effective. Not only that, but if he tries to move archers anywhere, it's extremely easy just to back him up. Now again, if you have an archer way over here on the flank, you need to have something back here to defend it. Do not have RDI's hoplites over here to defend your archer. Have your units to defend your archer. You will be able to react to your archer dying a lot faster than your friend will. Drop your artillery. Is it out of ammo now? It is. Drop it, move it over here. It contributes to the balance of power, for one. Even though it's minor, it does contribute. Out of ammo artillery still contributes to the balance of power. You guys had situations in this battle to where a minor adjustment in your favor and balance of power could have started causing army losses. Not only that, but if you leave it out here, his gen can just clean it up if it's out here by itself, and his gen now gains a chevron. Which means he's going to have increased melee attack, increased morale for this unit. You don't want that. Don't give him a free chevron just cause. Your gen, this RDI gen should be right here. You don't have to worry about the tower shooting you. Any archers are going to be getting the left-hand side. It needs to be up here to give abilities. Y'all did better with abilities as the battle progressed, but this part, this one is already winded. This should already have a second wind. It's already taking the negative effects of stamina. It needs to be fixed. Quick reload. Alright, so it sounds great. You get shots per minute up. You're engaging other archers. You want to be able to get more arrows off to shoot them faster, right? Here's the problem with that. Is after it's done, now your unit is going to be fatigued. I can't remember if it makes them winded or tired at first, but either way, they are now taking a hit on their shots per minute. And I have not done the testing myself, but I've heard from other people who have tested it. If you take two identical archers and one of them uses quick reload and the other one doesn't, the one that did not use quick reload is the one that wins. Because over the time span of it, it's going to get more volleys off because it doesn't have that tired effect. That doesn't mean you can't use it, but if you do, you need to have a refresh ready. But what I see here is a auxiliary Syrian and an Eastern archer engaging your Cretan. This, at this point, you will not win this fight. You need to get this archer out of here. As soon as you see this, right, the archer thing is huge for you. And I'll address it a little bit later because I know you didn't like the idea that RDI doesn't have archers. But since it doesn't, all of the archer, your Cretans are even more valuable than normal because RDI has 0 archers. You do not need to be taking an archer fight this early, and you definitely don't need to be taking this one, and you don't need to be using quick reload. The reason this Thorax loses to this Hastati is because of the HP damage that you took. That's the reason this Thorax did bad. All it takes is a couple of volleys. I think it got 2 or 3 volleys off, this Eastern Archer did. Only killed 37 of them, but it did a ton of HP damage to this Thorax. Hastati, if it is not being shot, is a very respectable unit. It's one of the best low tiers in the game. It definitely can hold up to a Thorax in the right situations. And here it does because you took those arrow volleys. Attack orders on your hoplites. If you are going to use hoplites, you need attack orders. And we'll get into a little bit better. Hopefully I'll catch it whenever it gets to here in the battle. But always have, there it is. I just saw the attack order. This is one of those that's going to physically move the unit back. The problem that you have with this, right, is the hoplite will kill all the units in front of it. After it kills all of the units in front of it, it does not keep moving forward. So eventually it's just going to quit fighting. If you give it a single attack order, it says, okay, this is the unit I want you to attack, but it still won't move. You need a double right-click attack order to tell it to move up to the unit. Yes, that is the big thing with hoplites. They need absolute constant attention. Even with the double right-click attack order, when it starts killing stuff, it'll eventually quit fighting it. It'll just stare at it in front of it. You have to be going back to it, making sure it actually has attack orders. Now, you have to be careful, and you will pay for this later in the battle. You have to make sure it has an attack order on the unit in front of it. If it doesn't, you're going to pull through. And you did in a case, and there is a case where if I was reffing the battle, I would have given you a -1 for a pull-through. Hoplites are not exempt from pull-through penalties. It happens. You can definitely tell when it happens if you manipulate a pull-through. Let's say a pull-through happens completely by accident, which you can usually tell when it does. Let's say a pull-through happens completely by accident. If you take advantage of that situation, you're taking a penalty. You have to fix it. It is your responsibility to make sure that you do not gain an advantage from a pull-through. If at any point in time you gain any kind of advantage from a pull-through, it's a -1. And there were 2 situations. Actually, in this battle, y'all would have gotten -2 points for pull-throughs. Just because it's a hoplite does not mean it's exempt. Hopefully we'll catch it. Yes, we're not at that point right now. This is not right here. I'm just addressing it because I know you guys talked about it. Which, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about that now. Holy fuck, you guys' comms is depressing. I don't know if y'all need to smoke some weed or go rub one out or whatever before a battle, but y'all should be having fun. It's a fucking video game. And you guys are not having fun the entire time you are playing. You're getting mad at each other. You're upset about anything that's not going right. I have definitely gotten mad about the game too. Especially in certain situations. I'll get really pissed off. But you guys need to tone it down a notch and learn how to have fun with the game. If you are using hoplites, I'll tell you this now. If you are using hoplites, they will constantly be finicky. No matter how good you get at it, they will constantly be finicky, and you will pay for it sometimes. It's one of those decisions you have to make. If you're going to use hoplites, it's something you have to deal with. Your archers are inside of each other right now. And I'm going to go over this again, even though I think I've told everyone. Anything that uses missiles needs room to use those missiles. That unit needs space. When you have archers inside of each other, less of them shoot because they don't have the space to shoot. So this engagement is going to go even worse for you because only some of these, out of these 2 units of Cretans, maybe half of each is going to shoot. So you basically still have 1 Cretan here. He's also going to get more hits because your units are stacked on top of each other. So it's going to go very bad for your Cretans. You absolutely can shoot Hastati. I know at one point in time, one of you said don't shoot Hastati. Hastati is a very respectable low tier unit and absolutely worth your archer ammo. This Hastati right here, if you had a Cretan here, all this Hastati has its back facing to you. If you had an archer right here, this Hastati would get deleted. You guys did make the choice to put a slinger on the wall, which is fantastic. This is where slingers belong. Hang on, Market's messaging me. Okay. Yeah, having a slinger on the wall here is absolutely devastating. The only disadvantage that your slinger has, this Rhodian has, over any archer is the fact that it can't shoot over stuff. When those are on the wall, it completely negates that. It can hit everything now. There are some issues that you'll still come across, like you might have difficulty hitting this veteran legionnaire where it is right now, but putting a slinger on the wall is money. And actually this slave slinger is perfect for it because they have 2 options here, right? They can either ignore it and your slave slinger is going to be doing much better than a slave slinger has any right to do, or they can shoot at it, and this 550 or 530 or whatever it is cost Syrian, shooting your slave slinger is perfect. A slave slinger costs 240. Let him fucking kill it. He has now wasted ammo to kill a slave slinger, and slave slingers are absolute trash. They suck. That doesn't mean throw away, so I've definitely got to say this with an asterisk. That does not mean throw away your missile units. But you are getting more value out of that slave slinger if a Syrian shoots it than you would otherwise. The only issue you'll have, and he's already countering it, is if he moves units up on the wall. You can counter that by having a thorax up on the wall with it. It won't hit the slinger. That fight will last for fucking days. You're showing shield side here while he's showing sword side. You can't manipulate the sword side, but you're showing shield side. Even if he starts shooting your thorax with archers, it's not going to be very good for him. Another thing about your comms, short, clear, concise statements. You do not need to over-explain anything. Do not over-micro your ally. All it needs to be is moving a veteran legionnaire up, and that's it. You don't, as RDI, you don't need to be telling Macedon how he needs to use his archers. If you notice something, like, hey, he's got an Eastern here, or he's got a Syrian here, that's all you do. What he does with his archers is his job, especially at you guys' skill level. Do not micro your ally. You can tell him if you see something wrong. You can even make a suggestion, but it's his choice. That's his unit. Let him use it the way he wants to use it. It is very important not to micro your ally. Focus on you and do what you can do. Again, if you notice something, say something. Clear, short, concise statements. I think I actually wrote down one of them. Send in militia hoplites to those Celtic warriors was the exact thing that was said. All you have to say is, can you back me up with this militia here? Can you move this militia against that Celtic? I know it sounds minor, but the more you guys play with each other, the more you'll communicate, the more you'll talk to each other, and getting everything short and easy and quick. You don't have to, if he doesn't want to do it, then he's not going to do it. Don't try and make your ally do something, and don't get mad at each other. You can say no to your ally if you think it's a bad call. There's nothing wrong with that. Paint and I do it to each other all the time. I'll say, hey, can you send in this militia to help me out? And he'll say no. And that's all. Neither of us get mad. Neither of us, get aggravated or anything like that. It's just simple. He has a purpose for that militia hoplite, and it's not using it to help me out. As RDI, you have a ton of battle buddies. Your battle buddies is your responsibility, not his. His militia hoplites serve a different help him. It's just, and I've tried to address it with most people, just leave your emotions at the door. There's no reason to get upset about anything that's going on. I come from a different culture. Again, you start to manipulate this here. If you just reinforce this, this Hastati would be dead a lot quicker. So all you have to do here is you should have more hoplites. Your closest hoplite. So if anything happens to this one, or if you need a second one, your closest one is right here. That's way, way, way too far away. You need another hoplite ready. All you have to do is engage this veteran legionary. This Illyrian Theros is not going to last very long here, right? Illyrian Theros versus veteran legionary is going to go very badly. You need your noble in there. But all he does is he keeps that back away from the range of this tower for the few seconds to get your noble, get him skinny, get him through here, get him engaged, and then get the Therios out. It's very, very important to get your Therios out of the way. Your Illyrian Noble Hoplite is what is going to kill this veteran legionnaire, not your Illyrian Therios. If your Illyrian Therios has the initial attack order, he is the one in combat with the veteran legionary for 90% of it. So this veteran legionary is going to kill the Illyrian Therios and then start working on your hoplite. You need the hoplite engaged with it. This Therios can just get an attack order on the back of this Hastati. It's already gotten attacked in the rear, but it's going to be perfect. If you just move him back in the back of this Hastati, that Hastati will waver a lot quicker. Now, this militia hoplite is not going to kill this Hastati. That's, again, you need another noble here. That will reinforce this line and help you keep pushing. Battle buddies. I know y'all talked about battle buddies, and this is one of those that you hear people talk about all the time. Use battle buddies, and then there's usually not much else that comes with that. Battle buddies can serve a ton of different purposes. The one that they don't serve is to be in combat and sustain combat. Sometimes you can, and I'll probably try and find an example later on, but when this Illyrian Noble Hoplite has 60 men left, a full Illyrian Therios can now battle buddy him to bolster up the numbers. That way he isn't surrounded. Battle buddies are for handling flanks. They're for, even in certain situations, I don't want y'all to focus on this too much, but if your hoplite's fighting this way, showing sword side, you can put one of your out of ammo Illyrian Therios like that and add that shield bonus to your Illyrian Noble Hoplite is essentially what you're trying to do. Battle buddies can be used for that. They can be used for taking Pila. And I think we'll actually see here in a minute a perfect situation for your Illyrian Therios to where it's just getting shot at, but it would be getting shot at instead of your Illyrian Noble. What is this shooting? Is this on fire at will? Oh no. Oh no. That's bad. I don't know why that slave slinger in here. A slave slinger right here is perfect. Again, let his archer shoot it. Good for him. He just spent his archer on slave slingers. My RDI comp that I took last season had 5 slave javelin men in it. And my number one goal for my javelin men was for them to get shot at. It is a 220 cost unit, and basically anything that shoots it, plus it has a block chance. I just front faced my javelin men, and they would get shot all the time. And that is an exchange of value in my favor. Paint will disagree with you, and he'll tell you I'm fucking stupid. But it's one of those to where you have that option. This was great identifying this, and this is another comms moment, right? Because you saw it, you shot it, you were excited, and you just wanted to fucking say something, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you guys sat back there for about 30 solid seconds talking back and forth. He wanted to figure out what the fuck you were talking about when you said you were getting this Celtic in the back. He had no idea. He can't help you out here. He might be able to help you out with an archer, but he's already dealing with all their archers anyways. It's just one of those things where you can clean up comms a little bit. As you progress and as you get better, comms become very important in games. Again, everyone does it. I've done it to where I get excited and I just say shit because I got excited. Just something you don't have to do. This fight on the wall, right now it serves no purpose. When you had the slave slinger up here, it did, because it was holding that back. But you don't really want to be doing this wall fight against this guy. That isn't the ideal situation. Just because wall fights take forever, this thorax should beat the hillman, but in general, don't take wall fights unless you're protecting units. Or keeping them from getting Pila, something along those lines, which I guess you are here, so it's not terrible. You're going to move your tort up here, and you're going to break down this wall, which is a fantastic call. I love that you decided to do that. But as you say that you are moving this up, you bring a thorax up here right next to the wall you are breaking down. It's one of those where you're calling it, and you see it, and you say it, but you're hurting yourself. Yep, and you're good. That happens. You're about to... He has this Pontic Gen Cav, which y'all constantly called out, but you're going to move one of your missile units out here all by himself as you're calling out the Cav. You can actually, if you had a Cretan here, you could be getting sword side against this veteran legionnaire, and it would go quicker. Countercharge, I don't know what situation it was here, but I wrote down countercharge because y'all forgot to do it. Always have your countercharges. Now you kind of did the opposite. You took that thorax off the wall, and now the hillman's getting Pilo on you. This wall, especially since you guys are the attackers, this wall you have control over. There is no reason that they should take advantage of it and you don't. This should be a part of your attack plan, should be this wall. And anytime, again, you're looking at where to break torts and everything, the wall should be a consideration. You got super happy about killing a bunch of hillmen on the wall. I'm not going to discredit you for it, but it's hillmen. So it can happen. I don't think you actually lost any thorax, but you got super lucky that you didn't. Again, I've kind of already hit on it. So we have Militia Hoplite here that's wavering at 48 men, and an Illyrian Noble at half strength. This is a battle buddy. This is not sustained combat. This cannot beat either of these. But you have a fuck ton of nobles out here that can just raffle stop this shit. It's actually one of these fights, and I'll try and show you because I know it probably got aggravating. These Illyrian Noble Hoplites will absolutely fucking spank these veteran legionnaires. They are insanely good against it. I did the math while you guys were doing this battle. I think both are operating at about a 30% hit chance. So about 30% of the time that it lands a hit, it's doing its AP damage. Is really what's important here, right? Because it's 85 armor against 115 armor. There's a lot of armor. There's 60 health versus 65. So you have the armor and the health advantage over this veteran legionary. But what you have even more an advantage over, this veteran legionary has an AP damage of 5, right? Whenever he hits, he's going to do 5 damage, basically. There's a lot of numbers that go into it, but he's going to do 5 damage to the health pool of your Illyrian Noble Hoplite whenever he hits. So every time they hit, 5 damage to the 65 health pool. Your Illyrian Noble Hoplite, if I can get on it, there it is. It has 8 armor piercing damage. But it's also in Hoplite Wall, gives it a 5 bonus versus infantry. That applies to weapon attack and weapon damage. That applies to the armor piercing part of your weapon damage. So you're doing 13 armor piercing damage as opposed to his 5 right now. Right? And you have a bigger health pool than he does. You're operating at roughly the same percent of hit chance, so you're going to hit each other about the same amount of times. His melee attack is even worse. He's probably operating on minimum while you're at active because you've been refreshing this guy. So very tired. His melee attack is what, at 30 or 40%, whatever it is. It's lower than 59 right now. He might be operating off of minimum hit chance while you've got about double minimum hit chance. You can absolutely wreck this veteran legionnaire. If you don't, and this is one of those, let me finish out my thought process here. One of the biggest things that you're going to have to swallow if you want to play hoplites is if your hoplites did bad, it is your fault. Hoplites can beat anything from the front. Anything. Like I said, Thracian nobles are the biggest, baddest ones. I don't know about Illyrian nobles, but I know for sure Royal Spartans, they can take on a Thracian noble. Hoplites are insanely good from the front. One of the problems you're having here, you're not really taking from the side, and this is actually doing fine. You see it's winning decisively right now. Right now, there's nothing really wrong with what's going on with this hoplite. Other mistakes could be the reason it's down to what it is. But I saw one of yours that was used pretty well and was unmolested, and I think it lost 25 men, and it already had a chevron and 200 kills. Again, you're going to, the thing with hoplites, they're going to start acting weird. They're going to pull through. All those little times you keep taking HP damage every time something like that happens. The hardest thing is keeping them under control. Reinforcements, 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 reinforcements. Every time. So right here, and I actually didn't catch this when it was happening, but he's going to start retreating units, and he's going to try and make this kill box that's going to fucking destroy you guys. Don't let him. You can chase down these units. The problem you have right now is it's just your thorax. Your closest thing is a 78-man militia hoplite, which is nothing. If you had more reinforcements here, you would be able to take care of this kill box before it ever happened. especially if he wants to turn around and try and do it. Always have reinforcements ready, right behind other units. Saving units for late game. I hear everyone does this. Is Billy Bob still in here? Because I know I've heard him say it. Yeah, you're still in here. I want you guys to erase the thought of saving a unit for late game. Erase that from your memory. That is an absolutely terrible attitude to have, and here is why. You need to use a unit whenever it's good to use that unit. Whenever the opportunity presents itself. The better players you go against, every minor detail that gets done wrong is going to get abused and countered. If you want to save an Agrionian Axeman, I think is what you said. I'm saving this until late game, which I don't think you did. But the reason you want to save that for late game is because it looks sexy on a kill board, right? If you shoot a veteran legionnaire sword side, you may or may not get a chevron out of that Axeman. A fresh legionnaire, right? Not in combat or anything, but you just get sword side. You'll kill 30 or 40 of them, may or may not get a chevron, right? And that doesn't look near as sexy as when your Agrionian Axeman has killed 300 out of ammo archers, right? On the kill board, it looks fucking fantastic when that happens. But it is much more important that this Agrionian Axeman gets value out of it. If you shoot one of these veteran legionnaires shield side with this Agrionian Axeman, regardless of what the kill screen says, it has gotten its value. That's when you need to use your Agrionian Axeman, is when you have that opportunity, not for late game. Some people, and I've heard it... Go ahead. Which is fine too, but I heard the statement, which is why I'm addressing it. That you want to save stuff for late game. And I've heard good people say, I'll save it for late game. That Pontic Gen Cav late game was huge, and Cav late game is big. Do not never have the opinion that you're going to save something for late game. If an opportunity presents itself, that's when you use it. Battle Buddies. This is not a hoplite. This Militia Hoplite is the battle buddy for this Thorax sword, but it's in the wrong spot. It needs to be right here. That's any Pila that comes, the Militia Hoplite's going to take instead of the Thorax. If you have it right in front, all this arrow fire that's coming from the front, you can make it even worse for him by putting the Militia Hoplite in front and adding to your block chance. You have got to manipulate your Pila angles here. What you need, right? The weak part is the sword side part of this hoplite right now, which is where he's trying to get all of his Pila off, and I know in several cases he does. That is where your Levy Therios belongs. Your hoplite needs to be on the safe side, on this side of the engagement, right? Because he's not going to get sword side on it now. He's going to get sword side on an out of ammo Alarian Therios spear. That's how you use battle buddies. Another thing that you can do is with this one that popped in, if you had that configuration, right? You had your Illyrian Therios here, or your Noble Hoplite there, and your Illyrian Therios here. You could pull out this Illyrian Therios for a second, dump all of your ammo into this Veteran Legionary, and then put it back. And you can hit this Celtic sword side too. That's perfectly fine to do. The only thing that I would say is you could probably, for this specific situation, it's definitely not bad. But most of your javelins should be thinking about these Veteran Legionnaires. It's not bad to use it against Celtic, though. You will get your value out of it there. I wrote down reinforcements like 17 times here. Dismount your towers. Why? I don't know what the purpose of this tower wall serves. It's useless. But you still have Illyrian Therios in here. It takes time for them to dismount the towers, move, and you can't give them movement orders inside the settlement until every last man is off that tower, right? There's no reason for them to be there. Dismount them, get them with the rest of your army, unless you plan on having the option to move them there later. So tower walls can help with sallies, and the biggest thing that a tower wall is going to prevent with a sally is it's going to break up the cav. If you had a little bit, not as much of a gap, but if these were all butt up against each other and it was in a line like that, cav, it can go through, but it's going to be all broken up. It's going to break up its charge really bad. That is the best purpose for the tower wall. I know they have these fancy scorpions. I think it's actually a polybos, not a scorpion that's on top of there, which has less damage than a scorpion. As a matter of fact, a lot of the cav that you're going to try and hit with that, for one, it's going to dodge a lot of it. Especially the faster the cav is, it's going to miss a lot. And when it does hit, it's not doing as much damage as you think. The very last thing that these towers do that you need to worry about is shoot things. Tower walls are much more of a defensive part of your attack than they are for actually killing anything. Where'd my pen go? So I was going to do these things. Again, if you had more units to plug this, you could really make them pay for turning their backs to you. But you're going to let it happen. And what's going to happen here is you're going to start getting sword side shots. They're going to kind of get back shots is what you complained about. And they may or may not. But you have a thorax engaged right here. We'll try and get to that part of the battle here quickly. And he's going to have a Eastern archer right here shooting at the thorax, which some of that is going to be in the back. The solution to that is for a militia hoplite, and you still have another one back there. It's only got 40 men left, but this is another reason that it's important to save your shit tier units because they have a purpose. It's just a hillman, right? And you can even do this with just the thorax by itself. You don't even have to use one of your shit tiers. Put it in shield wall and put it in a column formation like this, facing this way. Now he is shooting shield side into you. This hillman is going to tickle you. You do not have to worry about it. You don't really have to worry about it. The only thing that's going to make it dangerous is its Pila. Another issue is you're falling directly into their trap. You're going to present your sword side to their slingers that are sitting right here just waiting for it. You got to keep your eye out for stuff like that. I already talked about putting your hoplites in safe spots. Your hoplites are going to start acting finicky here pretty soon. I think you're going to put this one on and try and put it in hoplite wall, and it's just going to start acting fucking weird. One thing that you can do, I definitely recommend getting your charge bonus. Most hoplites have a very good charge bonus. This one's 30. That's right up there with barbed tier infantry. But it's going to start acting all fucky when it comes in here. What you can do to prevent that, put it in hoplite wall back here, and then left click and drag it into the place you want it to be. That can help make sure the hoplite is good, because right now you're basically going to keep turning your back. You're going to take a ton of HP damage every time you do it too. Again, you can have a Therios. It doesn't even have to be in combat, but just have a Therios here ready for that vulnerable side. If your hoplite starts doing weird stuff and you need to start fixing it, a battle buddy needs to be in there. That's going to help you take less losses, less HP damage with your hoplite. This hoplite just got engaged and it's already down 7 dudes from all the funky shit. Again, this is going to happen with hoplites and you're going to have to get used to it. But have a battle buddy in here to try and keep these units occupied while you rearrange it. Again, your Therios is perfect for this situation, especially right here. It could be used in Pila. As a matter of fact, all I would do in this situation is I would have one of my Therios here. You should always have one with ammo and always one without, very close by. But this is a perfect situation. You got this little tag here on the side. Just put them right here and put them on fire at will. You don't even have to target the unit per se. Just put them on fire at will and they'll automatically target all the guys on the side there. This is another situation. I know Billy Bob was talking about cycle charging. This is where you cycle charge. You take a chosen sword and you have it going back and forth on this little tag that's sticking out on the end, and you will absolutely demolish this veteran legionnaire. You have to be careful anytime you're doing that. Good players will peel you in the back whenever you're cycle charging. Your low count hoplites, I'm assuming it's this one, and this one took a lot of AP damage, which is its problem, or a lot of health damage rather, just because it did that weird stuff. And this is another thing to where people don't like using hoplites, because things like that, things that you can't control, you're going to pay for. Yeah, that hurts. There's this tiny, tiny gap right here in the battle line that you can't even exploit it so small, but they're getting all their Pila off and just destroying your thorax for it. Quit running away. You guys need to get that out of your head, running away from units. The only time you do it is when you have a unit moving in. I know you had your shield bearer moving in, but you basically turned your back. Oh, shit. Okay. That's right. 2-minute break. While we catch back up. I don't even remember what the timer was at. I have nightmares from your first replay, Billy Bob. It wakes me up at night. I'll be right back. Tylus does not have archers, it has slingers. Nope, no archers for Tylus. It's the same thing I've been telling you. They have some of the best mid-tier infantry in the game, and that's the key to your battles. I don't know. I don't know what would be considered the best, but I know they're definitely up there, for sure. I think Rome is going to have the best mid-tier. It's always cost, right? That's really the biggest thing that you have to factor in, is how good is it at its cost. But I do think tribals are one of the best, if not the best. I couldn't tell you exactly how they rank, and I'm sure different people are going to say different things. I'm going to do Sword Followers just because I never play Tylus. I don't really play Boei either, but I'm assuming Tribals would win in a 1v1, but Sword Followers, I mean, they're both just nasty units. Absolutely nasty. Barb mid-tier infantry is pretty much good all the way around. I think Fierce Swords is the only one off the top of my head that isn't. Which is, it's okay. It's not bad, but it just doesn't have any armor. The biggest thing is anything I say, first of all, ask other people. Ask Everos or Hyena or whoever you can. I guarantee you I have been wrong in telling you guys something. I can almost guarantee it. There's something that I am wrong about, for sure. Yes, like not having to worry about the time. So ask other people. Get other opinions. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you go and ask other people to verify stuff that I've told you. And also, the best thing you can do is verify things yourself. If you have the capacity to verify something on your own, do it. Load up a custom battle and do it on your own. And get what you want from that. When it came to cycle charging, the only way I was ever going to understand how to cycle charge was to do it. No one could tell me how. I had to load up a custom battle and just do it. And sit there and play with all the different thoughts of when exactly do I pull this unit out? When do I bring this one in? How long do I leave it in? All of that stuff, I just had to figure out. What's that? How are y'all playing? I think we're getting close-ish. I think we're in the 30s, though. Yeah, figure out what Battle Buddy situations work out. It's a little bit harder. Battle Buddies are pretty dynamic. This Illyrian Noble Hoplite, don't just sit here and let it die. Probably before now, you should have got this one out. That Noble Hoplite is now a battle buddy for this Noble Hoplite. And that's an even better one than the Illyrian Therios. Other than the numbers part, it's still a very good unit. Pull it out of combat, let it get rested, and then you can use it later on. I kind of addressed this earlier, but somewhere around this point in time in the battle is when you express your concern with using RDI. I can tell you now, RDI Macedon is a very, very, very powerful combo. Get better with your archers. That's the solution to RDI not having archers. It sucks. I put all the pressure on Paint to be a good archer player. I suck at archers, and I don't bring them half the time. And then he has to deal with it. You just have to get better. You kind of threw away all of your missiles. Were thrown away in this battle. I can tell you now that most people will do very well with a Macedon RDI combo. The only weakness you do have is the archers. So you're focusing on the one weakness of this faction combo instead of all the benefits. how much armor and health is within you guys' army is stupid. He brought 8 Illyrian nobles that are sitting at 115 armor and 65 health. That is so much to cut through. Your thorax, again, 60 health, 75 armor. That's more to cut through. You guys probably in total, I mean, you guys have more than they do, even with them bringing Rome. With veteran legionnaires, and I think he has armored legionnaires in there. Pontus and Rome are pretty powerful too. Rome on defense is stupid. You'll see a lot of lobbies that just say you're not allowed to do it, which, I mean, nothing is better than skill, but Rome is definitely a very big handicapper for who's ever using it. So, yeah, so I 100% disagree with this. Do not chevron Pontic swords. People talk about it because it's Pontus, you have all this money left over, chevron your Pontic swords. I say bring different units. People like it because of the fact that a Pontic sword without a chevron loses to a thorax, but a Pontic sword with a chevron beats a thorax. So people chevron their Pontics. It's your own personal judgment call whether or not you do. It's something to keep in mind, but in siege battles, there is so much more to them than who wins the 1v1. There's always a million different situations. It's the reason you see good players take really bad factions and use them against bad players, and they still beat them really well. They probably have worse infantry than they do, right? But they still beat them because of the skill gap. Rome, Pontus, all this other stuff, it can be a handicapper, but it's not a replacement for skill. Your slingers, you want to extend them along the wall so they're all facing out so they can all shoot. You just kind of have them bunched up here, and only half of them are going to be able to shoot that way. I know at some point here you guys talk about whether or not it's valuable to front dump Pontus. Pontic swords can be front dumped. Anything can be front dumped, really. You don't have to. If you don't have to, don't. If that's the only situation you have going for you, do it. This Rhodian is not a counter Balearic. This engagement happening is the absolute worst case scenario for both of you. And it's not in your favor. Not because the Rhodians aren't good. It's just because you had to go up there and move there. And I think he is a little bit thinner, but y'all are about the same. This is terrible. This is disgusting. Don't ever use a Rhodian to take out archers. Or take out slingers. Slingers are anti-infantry. And this Rhodian will... This Rhodian, pick any unit in the game. Front dumping, this Rhodian will kill it. What this Rhodian does is that gives you access to delete one of these veterans off the field. If you get good angles and you pick good times to engage your Rhodian, then you can kill 2, sometimes even 3 mid-tiers with one Rhodian. They are absolutely disgusting. The reason they're so good, which is going to act all weird and I'm going to have to try and follow it, 8 armor piercing damage. So basically every time it hits, it's taking 8 out of the health pool. I think your standard, like your Cretan here, has 4 or 5. 4. So it literally doubles a Cretan's AP damage. Against something that's heavily armored, like these veteran legionnaires, that is huge. Not only that, but it has 10 more volleys than a Cretan does. Do not use your Rhodian against archers. You have Cretans for that. That is definitely, slingers in general are anti-infantry units. In a pinch, I'm not saying don't ever shoot like this Eastern Archer, right? If you had your Rhodian here, it's in a good spot, you don't want to move it, and this Eastern Archer tries to move up to take out your Rhodian. I'm not saying don't ever shoot missiles. I'm just saying that the main purpose for Rhodians is most definitely against infantry. The ideal exchange with your missiles here is that your Cretans, Balearics are the exact same. Your Cretans spend 3/4 of their ammo on infantry. Try and get the best shots that you can. You'll get away with being able to front dump or shield side some units, but most of yours should be shield side. Any opportunity that you have for it, use it in that manner. After it's gone through 3/4 of its ammo, now you're ready to push back their archers. And then your Rhodian is meant to counter the veteran legionnaires. It's meant to counter Rome. I would even say don't even shoot Pontus. If you have sword sight on them, it's kind of a why not situation, and that is true, but you should be looking for opportunities to kill these veteran legionnaires. I've seen Rhodians with triple chevrons. They are nasty. Same thing with the Therios, because I know at some point in time you guys are debating on what the Therios are used for and blah, blah, blah. They are for the veteran legionnaires. Any high armor unit that's going to be hard to kill, that's where things with high armor piercing. I think Illyrian Therios have 8 armor piercing. I can't remember the exact context that y'all were talking about. What is the purpose of this Illyrian Therios? Their main purpose is to counter these veteran legionnaires. Again, you need more here. This guy isolated on his own. It's fine to start it out that way, but you definitely want you need something backing him up. This is just bad. I would honestly wait for this to get finished up and start moving back here before I even started engaging that. This is just a situation you don't want to be in. Again, one of these out of ammo Therios would be perfect to hit this side right now to absorb some of that Pila. That hurts. You're taking damage trying to do that. I'm assuming you're trying to manipulate it to not get sword-sided. Instead of pulling your units out, I want you all to quit doing that, for one. Quit pulling units out that are in melee combat. Better players are going to make you pay for this so much harder than they did. And it's funny because you guys laughed at them when they did it and talked about taking advantage, and then you turned around and did it. Use your Therios. You should have one that's already been out of ammo to deal with this sword side problem. You see, that's perfect. Exactly what it did just now is perfect. And you can see this Therios that cost 360 has almost earned a chevron already. Of course, most of its killing potential is out. It got even more because this Pontic sword did a wonky shield wall thing. Again, keep it there. Exploit the gaps. 100% there's a gap here. Push him back. You can get this tower in your favor, and that engagement isn't in their favor anymore. Again, you have nobles. You need to have a noble to back up this fight. But in a pinch, use those Therios that can hold those veteran legionnaires back for a moment. And I don't know where they decided to go, but if they turn your backs to you, chase them. There are situations to where some people will try and do it to kind of put you in a trap. But like right here, if you had a hoplite that was engaged in that veteran legionnaire would took that little movement would have costed him a lot. I think he actually turns right here, if I'm not mistaken. He turns and starts running. This can be done a little bit better. You're kind of hitting the back of your own hoplite quite a bit here. You're actually the worst thing. Yes, out of hoplite wall. So as soon as you see him turn, get them out of hoplite wall and start chasing. Just keep spamming attack orders, keep spamming attack orders. There's going to be a natural stopping point, but if he wants to turn away, absolutely make him. The only real decision he has is to keep this veteran legionnaire here, which you'd be perfectly fine just fighting it by itself, especially at this angle to where you have no threat of sword side and it's a nice tight little corridor here. Your hoplites will do even better. You don't have to worry near as much about getting flanked in the sides and stuff like that. Chase him. If he wants to keep running away, then you'll keep killing him. But you absolutely have to take advantage of those situations. You cannot miss it. If they're going to turn their backs to you, they should have to pay for it every time. If you are playing hoplites, people will do this to you all the time because hoplites are terrible at chasing. And you have to be really on top of your shit. So that's why if you're playing hoplites, always have supporting units. Definitely have missiles ready because some people will try and cycle charge you to death. And even your Therios is actually better. If you had a Therios right behind that hoplite, which you actually did at the start, use your Therios to chase it. That Therios that's light is much faster than that very heavy melee infantry. I think there is a gap right here, and that needs to be exploited right now, especially with how hard this is. When people start using shield wall to last for fucking 2 years sitting there when a Pontic sword has no right to, exploit the gap. And I think you guys do eventually, but you've got to be able to see that there is a gap there that I can fit through. I can make this engagement end very quickly just by wrapping around this unit. Use units that are bad. Like this militia hoplite should not be in sustained combat. That militia hoplite is the perfect unit to bring in first. That's going to take the brunt of their overreaction to you exploiting their gaps, and then the thorax behind it is going to do very well. You got really, really lucky here, and I kind of missed the point to talk about it. But this hoplite actually extended like out to here whenever you charged it in. This is going to cause issues with hoplite wall. Whenever you pop it, it's going to start doing weird stuff. You want to match the width and move in. Don't be wider than they are with hoplites. As soon as you got lucky here, but as soon as you pop hoplite wall, that's when it's going to start acting all fucky. Make sure they have an attack order. I think they do. And now you're finally exploiting this gap, which is good. It's good that you saw it and you exploited it. I just wish you would have done it earlier. Yeah, and it does happen, but you have to be preemptive. Again, what I think happened here is this hoplite actually had an attack order on this Pontic sword. That's another one where you have to be really careful about where exactly your attack orders lie. And it's not the only time it's going to bite you in the ass here. Okay, you have a charge, and I don't know the numbers associated with it. I can't tell you all the specific stuff on charges. But before you pop hoplite wall, this has a 30 charge bonus, so you definitely want it to get its charge off. That's huge. 30 charge bonus is very, very good. You want it to have its charge bonus. You want to get your charge off. I don't know the time limit, but I think the max is 10 seconds. I think it's a randomized thing that lasts somewhere between like 1 in 10 seconds or something like that. Again, I don't remember. But from my understanding, that's how charge bonuses work. So you charge it in, give it a second or two before you pop hoplite wall. Let them get done with their charge. Then put it in hoplite wall, then give your double right click attack order. Yeah, it was one of those. I think it might have been this one. It might have been a different one. This is a huge overextension. I don't know if you just lost track of that or what, but there is no reason to be over eager to move in. You might be trying to chase that Pontic sword, which is fine. Don't use it. In this situation, you just sacrificed your unit. You have to be careful about when you start pushing forward. And again, I'm going to bring up the same thing I did before, phase lines. There's going to be somewhere midway in the battle, there will be a natural break, which is right about now. You're cleaning up the last unit. This battle has a natural break to it. Take this time to reorganize your entire army. You guys kind of did a little bit here, but you just gave a mass movement order for like all your hoplites to just sit there. Actually organize it. Be a little bit OCD about it. Get all your stuff in place. You have the extra time to do that right now. It happens in any time, and this is a big thing to know with hoplites. This bridge here, I know for a fact because I have used hoplites on it. This bridge is hell for pathfinding. Like I said, I don't know the exact situation. Just again, don't chase units too far. People can lay traps for you. Now, you guys. Quit moving in hoplite wall. Quit sending units alone. Right? This unit moved everywhere in hoplite wall. Get the fuck out of hoplite wall. If it's not actively engaged in melee combat, get it out of hoplite wall. After it's in melee combat, you can put it back in. When you're moving this around, you're just making it take longer. And what that's going to do, like this Syrian right here that you just turned this hoplites back to. If he was paying attention, he would start shooting this, and in hoplite wall, you're going to move even slower if you're just trying to get away. Once the combat's over, get them out of hoplite wall. And don't move units alone. Right now, this hoplite is all by itself. The closest thing you have is a 49-man battle buddy. When you have all these Therios left, you have all of these nobles left, you have all of this stuff left that could be here, just be patient. Again, this is the natural pause in a battle. Most battles will have this natural pause somewhere in the middle. This is a natural pause of the battle. Take your time, move your army up together, just like when you're attacking. I can tell you guys, because you guys kind of spent time ping-ponging back and forth between these two. What he wants right now is he wants a frontal engagement with Pontic swords. And you have the perfect unit for frontal engagements, and that's hoplites. This is 100% exactly what hoplites are designed for. They are perfect for it. You guys could have pushed through this in no time at all. One thing you'll notice here is you send in, and this is my fault because I tell you to send in your battle buddies or your low tiers or your shit tiers, whatever. I tell you to send those in first before you send those in. The biggest reason you do that now is because you don't want to take Pila. But all of these are in shield wall. You're not going to take any Pila. They don't throw Pila in shield wall. I think they already have thrown their Pila anyways. Which, if one of you has a mental account of that, you can kind of say, hey, they don't have Pila. All you have to do here is you should have 2, no less than 2. You should at least have 2 and at least 1 in backup for your Illyrian Noble Hoplites. Put those in column. Engage those, and then spread them back out. This Pontic sword that for some reason he wanted to leave by itself, let it be by itself. A thorax can clean that up pretty quick. He basically has two choices. Either he can sit here and take an engagement from the front, or he can try and give your hoplites an attacked in the rear penalty, which he gets an attacked in the rear, and now he dies even faster. But you guys do ping pong back and forth between these two engagements. I can tell you right now, the VP is right here, and he has all of his units here. I am shocked that he left his whole fucking army over there for that long. This engagement, if handled properly, would take 5 seconds to deal with. It's not 5 seconds, but maybe 2 minutes to deal with these Pontic swords with hoplites. Hoplites want frontal engagements. If he is giving it to you, absolutely abuse the fuck out of it. Those Pontics and Shield Wall are going to do almost nothing to these Illyrian nobles. Yep, I saw that, and I'll actually have a note for it a little bit later on. But you have this fancy little unit here. You have the Citizen Cav right here. And what he's going to do is he's going to have a Syrian here and a Veteran here. All it takes is a Thorax engaging that Veteran and the Cav, especially since you can just kind of get away with it before they actually notice that your Cav is coming around. But I can tell you that Citizen Cav could have got to that Syrian a lot fucking quicker than these Veteran Legionnaires could have. If he turns his Veterans away to try and kill your Citizen Cav, great, because now the Veteran's going to die because it's getting attacked in the back too. All you had to do was move your Citizen Cav in here at the same time that you push a Thorax in. And again, this is your job, Macedon, because RDI is focusing on this engagement. That should be where all of his attention is this bridge. It's for him. It's his job. Your job is to counter against Rome here. But yeah, engage that Veteran Legionary that was out front and immediately get your Citizen Cav around to hit that archer and leave it in combat. If your Citizen Cav dies there, good. But I can tell you right now, a Syrian that doesn't really have ammo, I could have sworn it had more. Maybe it was this one that he moved up. I would trade a Citizen Cav for a Syrian archer every day. But you can leave it in there and you can most likely get an archer to rout with a Citizen Cav. They take a morale penalty just because they're fighting Cav. Right here. Here's what happened here. And this is one of those to where I would have given you a pull-through penalty here. If I was reffing this game, I would have given it 100%. Your line was wider than his was. You pulled in, he's in shield wall, you're in hoplite wall. So now you did this weird thing to where you just completely pulled through and now you turned around. And your solution to this was to keep moving and to stack one of your units on the back. That's where you get the pull through, not because of what it actually happened, but because of how you reacted to it. And to put in your words, you weren't abusing the system, you weren't abusing it, you were just taking advantage of the system, which is two ways of saying the same fucking thing. But that's the problem, is you took advantage of it. Pull-throughs happen. I'd say 90% of the time a pull-through happens, especially in league play. It hurts you. It hurts the person who's pulling through more than anything else. In this situation, you're causing this Pontic to waver very quickly because it's surrounded now. And then instead of trying to fix it, which would be to pull your hoplite back and re-engage it, instead of trying to fix it, you just keep pushing through. And that's what gives you the penalty right there, is because you didn't try and fix it, you took advantage of it. Yeah, y'all need to quit having that attitude towards each other. Y'all are a team. But it happens. The rules can be very, very, very confusing. Yeah, basically just start over, right? If you run into that situation to where you pull through, and you didn't mean to, bring it back and re-engage it. Try and fix it. Don't take advantage of the situation. Yeah, you have Cav to deal with the archers. This is where I brought this up. He did not protect his archers well enough, and this citizen Cav could have really, really played havoc on these archers, and that would have dealt with your issue with pushing here because they were getting back shots, right? This Eastern right now is getting shield side shots. That's fine. This militia hoplite is in sustained melee combat. It's not there for that. Save it for something else. What you need is 2 hoplites here, pushing both of these Pontics. It would have cleaned up so much quicker. I think these Pontics stay and get stupid amounts of kills in this engagement. And you guys had the solution. It is not Thorax. Your Thorax can help defend against Rome from trying to push here. Really, the biggest thing you want is for Rome to stay here. Because the second you guys break through, and you guys did it, it just took you too long because you didn't manage this engagement properly. But you moved into the VP and you actually had it. And we'll address it once you get there. But now he has to move his whole army over here to try and address the VP issue. And by the time all of these units get over there, they're all going to be tired. Units don't throw P-line. Shield wall. Faction points. What the fuck was I talking about with faction points? Oh, we can actually look at this real quick. Let's bring this over and take a look. Just to address it, because y'all seemed really upset. RDI and Macedon on attack is a +3 attack. Rome and Pontus, that's +3. That's -2. So there is a 5-point difference in the factions right now. You guys sounded really, really discouraged about how you did, and there's a 5-point difference in factions right now. While factions don't make up for skill, they can certainly, especially if it's close, it can be a really big factor. Rome on defense is just disgusting. I'd say it's great to practice against it, for sure. As a matter of fact, Paint and I would try and do it. We would attack against double defending rooms and stuff like that. We'd make it intentionally hard on ourselves. That means you have to exploit weaknesses. Again, you guys push back from this fight because of that archer. You guys have the capabilities. I mean, look at just infantry-wise. Look at how much infantry is here compared to this. He doesn't have enough there, and you have enough to completely envelop these legionaries should they decide to stand their ground. I don't know at exactly what point it is going to come in, but we're going to talk about which unit is actually engaged in the combat. As a matter of fact, the example should come up here sometime soon, so we'll try and look for it. His Cav Gen, I think I have this written down somewhere, but his Cav Gen spends a ton of time there. I know I tell y'all not to worry about the gen, and this is again where I'm going to have to put my foot in my mouth, but you have a full, somewhere here, you have a full Therio spear. You could have just brought it up here and dumped the fuck out of his gen. It's Cav, you're throwing javelins. Javelins, I think, have a bonus versus large. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember for sure. But you can at least get some damage on them. We're going to talk about what units are in front. All right. So right now you charge in a Cretin, which there is zero reason to have this Cretin in combat right now. It's funny because you harped on him for having a slinger in combat in a few minutes when you just threw a Cretin in. This Illyrian Therio Spear is not a combat unit. It's not going to do well against this Pontic Sword, right? Again, you need the hoplites, but in this case, your Thorax is your melee unit. That's the unit that's supposed to engage these, right? If you send in your Cretin and your Therios, and then your Thorax is going to be in combat. It's going to take fatigue, but it's not actually going to really be engaging anything because all of these units are in front. If you have a situation like this, which there's no reason to bring shit units in front, he is going to get Pila off with this Pontic, so this Cretin might actually have some purpose right now, and you could keep the Thorax on this side until his Pila is done, but you don't need him, but when you do, when you put this Thorax in, right about the time that it hits the back line of your units that you're having to absorb Pila or whatever, those need to have a movement order out. Then your Thorax is the one actually fighting. If you want to bolster up your numbers by throwing this Illyrian Therio Spear back in after that, that's fine. But your Thorax is the frontline unit. And right now, it getting sent in, this Thorax is just going to get tired. That's the only thing it's going to accomplish here. Which I do think you guys kind of address it here. It's not great, but you're about to pull this Therio Spear out. I actually remember it being a little bit later. Yeah, because you're going to move stuff here. Which again, you guys are running into the problem. I don't know why people do this, but both of you want to handle both engagements. So both of you have units in here, and both of you are moving up here. Both of you have units to use. There's no reason to intermingle. If you have just one of you focusing here and one of you focusing here, your attention does not have to go to as much. Even if it's just two fights that are relatively close together, but still. I mean, especially with hoplites, whenever I'm manipulating hoplites, I am in here. I have no fucking clue what's going on over here when I'm managing this fight. But ping-ponging back and forth, trying to manage stuff, especially hoplites, means you're just going to do poorly with both. Just split it up, whoever wants. Like I said, I think RDI needs to have this push. And Macedon needs to just keep Rome at bay. Nothing else. Just keep it at bay. The very powerful tool you have right now is this Citizen Cav. This Citizen Cav can really abuse a lot of the little footsie that they want to play with their archers and these vets. Again, quit moving hoplites and hoplite wall. Take them out. Right here, you're going to move this one in and that one out. This Illyrian Noble did not get its charge bonus off here, which you really needed it. You took too long to take that Therios out. But you're going to pull these guys out to fucking Narnia. This needs to be right behind that hoplite. There's no reason to pull them out that far. Keep them right next to the fight. The closer they are, the quicker they can react to any bad situation. Now, what you're going to have here is hoplites pulling through. Anytime you go into shield wall, hoplite wall and hoplite wall, or hoplite wall into shield wall, or shield wall into shield wall, they're going to start pulling through. It's almost a given. It's just all the issues you have with hoplite wall, now compound it with the second one. Anytime you start seeing units pop, and you'll start seeing it come up here, you'll start seeing units just fly out in the middle of the formation. I just saw a Pontic do it. It's just going to start going fucking crazy. there is an issue there. The fix to this is to have this Therios re-engage the Pontic, pull your, take off Hoplite Wall, pull your Hoplite off, and then re-engage it. Put Hoplite Wall back in, try again, basically. You have to go back to square one. Again, Hoplites are finicky. If you want to use it, this is one of the things you're going to have to do. No. It would be here in this. I don't know if it's this one or later, but you do have this issue to where you do start pulling through, and it does cause problems for them. Right here, they're gonna start playing around with you, and you get aggravated here because Hoplite doesn't get Chevron, to where they start trying to mess up your attack orders. That's really what they're doing. They're not really cycle charging. They only have 15 charge bonus. They're not really getting much off there. What they are trying to do is, this is exactly one of the ways that I deal with Hoplites. You're either going to get a pull through, which is exactly what's happening. You just took a shit ton of HP damage. If he didn't turn that away, it would have been a lot worse. But he's going to keep doing this, and it's going to keep causing your Hoplites to act weird. The best counter to this is to have a full, it doesn't have to be like ammo-wise, but you need to have a relatively full Alarian Therios behind, to where every time he turns away, you can chase after him. The Hoplite's not going to be able to do it. So now you come into this situation to where you keep trying to fix it, and it just keeps getting worse. He's manipulating this, and I can tell you, if you start using Hoplites, people are going to do this to you a lot. Battle Buddies, this is a situation for Battle Buddies. You have a full Therios spear here. If he keeps trying to do that, shoot him in the back with your Therios. But just chase him back. And you do that with a lighter unit. Your Hoplites are not going to work very well with it. Again, this needs to get out of Hoplite Wall, get its charge bonus, and then get Hoplite Wall back in. Guard mode, I know you guys talked about that at some point, and you absolutely should have guard mode on. But I can tell you right now, guard mode is not reliable for Hoplites. If you are in Hoplite Wall, you will still chase units. Keep that in mind. It's going to cause problems. I usually, backspace is your Hulk button. Just have it ready, and you'll be able to see it. They'll still have an attack order and still be chasing a unit, even though you have guard mode on. Again, this is not how you manipulate Pila angles. You're turning your back to a unit. If you want to try and manipulate this to get Pila over here, right? So you basically want your Hoplite like this. I wouldn't have it quite, it doesn't have to be that extreme like this, but just have it in a little block formation like this. You need to do it in small increments at a time. You basically need to prevent losing units. Anytime you move a unit that is in combat, you will take losses. Even if guys don't die, you're taking HP damage, and it hurts. And especially with Hoplites, you'll see them that they're doing great, everything's fine, and all of a sudden 60 men are dead. That comes from those kind of situations. Do not over micro your Hoplites, because they will start... Don't move them too much. They will take HP damage. Every time you move a unit, every single time, you take HP damage. So only move a Hoplite that is in combat if you're going to gain an advantage that is worth the sacrifice to your HP pool. He's about to put his little veteran legion, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with this Therios front dumping that Legionnaire. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You don't have to manipulate the angle here. He's going to put it in Testudo. There is still a sword side to Testudo. You can still get sword side where they have 0 block chance. And they don't have that extra shield value. But the number one thing that he is giving you here is gaps. If you had a little bit more forces here, this is kind of hard to do with what you guys have available. But there's gaps here. Just move past it. If he wants to sit there and get skinny, cool. I'll just go past you. Now that one is surrounded and it's going to die a lot faster. Anytime they start giving you gaps like this, 100% of the time exploit it. Some people will be able to do this and they'll set up a trap back here for you that it's going to be too costly, but you don't have that problem. It's all blocked off here. All you can just surround this at this point. He thinks he's cute putting it in Testudo, but it's actually it's one of the worst things he could have done there. You guys just didn't take advantage of it. I'm pretty sure this is where the pull through happens with this hoplite. I don't think you were paying attention, which is not an excuse for a pull through. I think what happens is he tries to put his Eastern Archer in and pull that Pontic out, and you chase the Pontic and you pull through that Archer. We'll see what happens here, though. I know I looked at it and I said it was bad, and that I would at least have people take a look at it, if nothing else. Because it was accidental, but it still had an impact on the battle. See you, Billy Bob. Now, it may have already happened. But you just got to be careful. That is a pull through with the threat. Kind of. Not really. I can't tell where all of that unit is. This was very aggravating to look at. So this cav, and you guys saw it come in, and you guys said, don't worry, he's just going to cycle charge. I don't know why you would not worry about that. The best way to deal with cav, and you'll see it later to where this cav knocks down a full fucking thorax unit. As a matter of fact, it's probably this one when it's over here at the VP. But it knocks the whole damn unit down and kills a ton of it. Shield wall. If you put your units in shield wall, and you have to do it early, they cannot be forming shield wall when it happens. They have to actually be there and stop moving. That cav will knock down 0 of those guys. Shield wall is very good for bracing, very good against shot cav. Shield wall, hoplite wall is something that you need to use whenever cav is charging you. Do not countercharge cav. That is the worst situation. Not only that, but you have a perfect thing to deal with it. If this thorax was just in shield wall before the cav got there, if you put it in shield wall, this Illyrian Therio Spear has a really, really nice thing, and it's called Counter Cavalry Tactics. This is bonus versus cav, right? It cannot take a charge. It's a light infantry. If it gets charged, it is going to get smashed. As a matter of fact, we'll see a little bit later on what happens to very heavy melee infantry when it's charged. It cannot be charged. But if a different unit gets charged, absolutely pull this Therios in and hit counter cavalry tactics, and you will melt a cavalry unit. That actually makes RDI one of the best factions, in my opinion at least, to deal with sally outs. Those Illyrian Therio Spears with their counter cavalry tactics can absolutely destroy cav, but they cannot get charged. If they get charged, they're dead. But if you can have a different unit take the charge, especially in a braced formation, and then immediately move that Therio Spear in and pop counter cavalry tactics, you're going to make it very painful to do that. But you'll see it actually routes 2 units by that cav. Just going in, touching, and going back out, it can be pretty devastating. Exploit gaps. Keep moving this thorax as long as you can. It's a Pontic and shield wall and an Eastern Archer. As long as you have a gap, keep moving. The further you can extend here, the better. What he's going to do is bring his cav in, again, shield wall. So you probably just brought this thorax up here, put it in shield wall, and you guys need more. You have, I don't know why you guys were so adverse to using your gen, but if that's the unit you have, use your gen. Again, you guys kept fighting back and forth about what engagement to take and where to go and all this stuff. And to me, it's just, I mean, the VP is right there. And Rome has to move his whole damn army over there to get there. It kind of worked out because you guys kept them occupied and you kept Rome with his forces here. I don't know why he wants to deny access to this part of the settlement, but it holds no real value for them to have that side. If you guys take this tower, everything's shield or sword side. There's another arrow tower there to help out. I mean, there's no reason Rome should be here at all. We'll go ahead and fast forward here. Again, this is, I mean, you guys had it. You guys had it much, much earlier than what it took you. You guys had the gaps. You just didn't take advantage of it. You've got a basically dead hoplite in combat here. So you just basically suicided that hoplite by having it by itself. You can see this hoplite will actually be flanked to the right the whole time. It's going to earn a chevron very quickly and start melting. You can see it's losing decisively against this. I mean, it can really, really destroy that. This is another perfect situation for this Agrionian. You tried to do it. It's going to be kind of hard, but you want to try and get your charge off into that little corner. It's going to be really hard to do at this particular situation, but in general, Agrionians are high charge bonus. You cycle charge these in and out of little tags like that to get rid of units. Yep, and it's going to do that. It's like I said, this particular situation you can't really do it just because of the nature of how things are going, but that is definitely what you want to try and do with a unit like that. You guys, it isn't quite yet. And we'll go ahead and keep fast forwarding here. But this general bodyguard is going to cut loose at some point in time, and you guys say don't worry about it. It's just a general bodyguard. As a matter of fact, Bubini has a video out there of one of his battles to where his gen and bodyguard literally won the fight against infantry. Had like 300 kills, triple chevron. It's still a cav unit, and it still has to be respected. I think this is where the pull-through happens. Yep, so you're pulling through. You already pulled through this Pontic sword. And it's because you keep having an attack order on this veteran legionnaire, so it's going to pull through that Pontic that is actually the unit in front of it to hit that veteran legionnaire. And what you did is you moved Aetherios in, so it just completely fucked these Pontic swords. And that is definitely a situation to where you benefited from a pull-through. But again, this into this veteran legionnaire, you can see how quickly they can mop this stuff up. It is insane how good it can work. So now you guys have it, and you guys kind of see it, and you go, let's go to the VP. Let's go to the VP. The problem is, and this is so crazy to me. It's just wild. I already addressed the shield wall versus cav. You guys take this VP, you hold the VP with no enemy units inside and plenty of infantry to plug the gaps. All you have to do is we can see the VP boundary right here. Have a unit here, have a unit here, have a unit here. They cannot get in. And you just sit there and wait for the timer to go down. Every single unit, everyone, should be going into this VP right now. I'm assuming you couldn't see it, but there is Scorpion and Archers up here that this Cav could have killed, and you're after it now, which is fine. Killing this is definitely a good thing, but this Cav, first and foremost, don't have it in sustained melee combat ever. It's not for that. It is for Archers. It's fine to have it against Archers, and it's fine to brace the charge coming from that General's Bodyguard. That's fine. No big deal. No big issues there. But later on, you're going to have this Cav unit just fighting veteran Legionnaires, and that is not what they're for. I would have waited to pull your Citizen out until you got your Shield Bearer up, because you're going to take losses as you pull away, even from a General Bodyguard. Where this Cav would have been perfect is up here. There's like 3 Archers and a Scorpion. If you guys would have taken those out, those units that were hiding up here, the balance of power should have shifted in your favor. Yes. And I would be too. You have a great solution to that, and that is this unit right here. This unit would scare the living shit out of that Pontic Royal Cav. It should, anyways. You just have to, and this is one of those to where you both do have to take over one part and work together. Make sure this Cav always has this Battle Buddy Illyrian Therio Spear. And if the Pontic Cav charges you, charge it with your Citizen Cav, and that Therio Spear should be right behind it with counter cavalry tactics. Again, braced here. This is a very heavy spear infantry. Put it in shield wall whenever you see this Cav coming in, and just tell it to quit moving. Tell it to stop. Get it braced, and this Cav is not going to do anything to it. But you kind of got lucky here, and he turned away. Don't chase him. Again, you guys should have a wall here. One of the problems, and you got away with it, which is crazy. But you just had the biggest thing you have to worry about is all these Roman units coming over here. There's a ton over there. And you have a beaten up Illyrian Therio Spear to hold them off, to keep them out of the VP. Again, your goal right now should be to keep them out of this circle. Don't let them touch it. This has now become precious to you because that is your ticket to win. You actually don't need it. You do have the ability just with the infantry to beat what's left. You do have that capability. It's just the amount of time. It takes too much time. You don't have enough time to whittle down these troops anymore. So the VP is the answer. You got in there. Your Shield Bearer Jin would have been fantastic here. It's going to hold for days and just keep him outside the circle. And you even have the opportunity here. Again, don't charge this Thorax in. Just hold the line. Keep them out of the circle. But what you do is you put that Thorax in, and now there's a gap for them to move in. Again, their number one priority is to get in this VP right now. I don't like moving this Slave Slinger up to take the towers. I understand why you're doing it, but you need balance of power right now. Again, if you had a few extra units, balance of power would have been a different story. If you wanted to bring a noble up there, like this 64-man noble, that would be a lot better than that Slave Slinger. But again, if you just had blocked this off, this veteran Legionnaire would have never gotten there. And now you run into the problem to where you do have a tower shooting at your Illyrian Noble Hoplite going into this veteran Legionnaire. And that's going to help them. You're also having pull-through issues, which means it's going to hurt you. You're exhausted. He's tired. Everything's just kind of fucked up right now. Again, not braced. In square, this can even help with bracing. If I'm not mistaken, let me double-check that. It does. It helps with bracing. So just putting this unit here and putting them in square could have helped against that Cav. Counter cavalry tactics. But them moving as they're taking that charge, they just get plowed over. Which does happen. You're managing multiple things. This is, again, another reason why I do replay reviews and I don't coach in the middle of battles. It usually does more harm than good. Without you having to worry about how your hoplite's being microed and stuff like that. Again, quit moving. Stop moving. Shield wall. Right now, way before now, you should have already had it done. What he's going to do, if I remember right, he's just going to move them away, turn them around, and charge you as you're running after him, and it's going to fucking hurt. But at least you didn't keep chasing him. At least you moved back. Again, this cav will prevent this cav from retreating. If he tries to retreat, you can chase him. It does not need to be in sustained melee combat against this. Again, actually it is brace, it's just not in shield wall. That's just an example of how devastating that can be. That knocked down the whole damn unit. What he should have done here is kept moving, and he can do that since it knocked most of your unit down and hit the back of this hoplite. And it's somewhere around now that the balance of power, really starts. You'll start seeing some of these guys have army losses start ticking against them. And if you just had a few extra units yourself or took care of a few extra units of theirs, especially this cav could have done work. But it's not against these veteran legionnaires. I'm not going to beat the dead horse, but counter cavalry tactics. And I think that's just about all I have. You guys were so close to winning a battle that you were 5 points against you for winning. Again, that's the number one thing that I want to stress. I do not want you guys to get so... I don't know why you guys get so upset. Well, I do, because I play the game too, and I get upset too. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But just relax, chill. Especially these practice matches, man. You can just kind of chill. You're figuring out different things. Figuring out, like, hey, they can move archers in the water. I never knew that. That's something that you guys found out about this map today. Working with different stuff. Hey, I really like how these hoplites are working. Or, hey, I hate being the only archer player. Those are things that you can figure out and work with and improve for the next time you practice. And again, especially for these practices, if you guys go into the league this season and you guys play in the league, you will have the real thing when you actually are playing against real people and the battles really do matter. It's extremely stressful. Leave the high stress times for those battles. These, just have fun. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It doesn't matter how well you do. You're just trying to get better. And it'll come with time. You faced off against a defensive Rome. Just that, in and of itself, no matter what factions you brought, facing off a defensive Rome, you can see it in the finals. I don't think I've ever seen a Rome lose, ever. In Total War League Siege, anyways. At least not when they're taken in the finals. There actually have been situations to where they've lost, but against people that are similarly matched, Rome is always going to win. They just have too good of infantry that is too cheap to not be good. They have a Royal Peltast for like 300, 400 less gold. If you look at it, the stats are basically identical. I think that's the Evocati, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even look at Rome. I don't care about Rome, so I don't know enough about it. But if I'm not mistaken, it's the Evocati cohort. It's one of them. They have basically identical stats to a Royal Peltast, and they're like 300 gold cheaper. It is insane how cost-effective Rome is. Archers, we talked about that. Your Thorax did not do bad. Not as bad as you think that they did. Most of these are extremely close to a chevron, which isn't quite paying for itself, but still, you took a lot of missile fire. What you take, Bull didn't have to. If you're bringing RDI, you should try and, I mean, you can't make the enemy shoot you, but I usually try and present myself in a way that invites the enemy to shoot me as RDI, because I have 115 armor, and I can tank arrows a lot better than a thorax sword can. But in this case, now RDI has that much more HP. Both of our playoff games, Paint, the defense for our first one and the attack for our second one. Paint, his post score screen did not look good, and he got really upset with it. But he played an absolutely important role in absorbing ammo, so I didn't have to, or so Simi didn't have to. It's not always going to show on the post-battle screen how well you did. For this, believe it or not, mostly for the infantry, you did good. I think the Royal Peltash Gen would have been a lot better for you here. I didn't want to mess with your comps too much. I didn't want to mess with... I tried to be as little involved as I could. I want to see how things naturally go. But if I'm playing Macedon, I bring a shield bearer, but that's because I'm stupid, not because I'm right. Yeah, I love hoplites. Shield bearers are almost a good hoplite. They have one thing that is off on them, and I can get into that later, but I love hoplites. Shield bearers are not a good hoplite. They are not worth it to bring. And it literally is one thing, and it might surprise you what it is, and like I said, I'll get into that. But you actually did do bad. What you did do bad with was the archer fight. Don't engage archers when they have the advantage. Get your ammo off before you start an archer fight. Or get 3/4 of it off. If you're going to use quick reload, which you can still use, but you need to immediately have a refresh ready. As soon as that quick reload wears off, use a refresh. Paint does it all the time with his archers. That's perfectly acceptable. You just don't want them tired in an archer fight. For RDI, for the most part, you did decent with your hoplites, and this is probably why you're falling in love with RDI, is because they do really well. And I mean, you barely using hoplites, but you're still getting tons of kills, chevrons everywhere. It feels good. You need to get better with your battle buddy system. You need to get better with having reinforcements ready. And just because all you have is 2 slave slingers and a slave javelin men doesn't mean you don't need to still do well with them. As a matter of fact, it's even more important because of how much stress is on Welds in this situation to do well with his archers, to try and help him out in any way you can. The best way is slingers on the wall, which you did have, but you need to have them all facing out, and they need to be engaged. So I didn't really see them do too much. It happens a lot, especially for something like RDI, to where you have hoplites and your battle buddies that have missiles right behind them. You're going to forget that you have real missile units. You need to remind yourself, Welds. You need to say, hey, you got your slinger back here. Can you do something with it? Help each other out. I mean, these Pontics really are just... They didn't do that well. A couple of them did where they didn't deserve to, but that's not too important. But you see that Rome is very, very similar. A lot of these he actually had pre-chevroned. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the way Rome looks. And again, he played Rome on defense. So, you know, it's not that good. Let's go over 1 or 2 more things. Let's look at Macedon here, and what was I talking about? that I wanted to show. Arty. Yep. We'll go over the Arty as well. So hang on. Let me see if I can't. Who cares? So they have, if you compare these two, right? 38, 30. This has 41, 29. So very, very similar. For Chargeable is 28, 57, 115. 30, 53, 115. And then 65 and 70, 65 and 70. They are basically identical. Very minor changes. And the important one for this hoplite is the weapon damage. It's 29 for this one and 30 for this one. But actually what's even more important is the AP. This one has 8 armor piercing and this one has 5. And that 3 less armor piercing makes this hoplite not viable. I have worked with it. It still can do work, but it's not near as good as the Illyrian Noble. 1 for cost. Basically same stats, right? This is 1160. Illyrian Noble is 1060. So you're saving 100 to get a unit with 3 more AP. Usually when a hoplite is engaged in melee combat, both the hoplite and the units it's against are operating off of minimum hit chance, which is 15%. That's not very often at all. 15% of the time, it's getting a hit. So when it gets a hit, it's very important how much damage it does. And with the weapon damage that you have with these, you're not doing that much damage. What you're really looking at is the health pool damage. Armor piercing bypasses all armor and goes straight to the health. So that extra 3, every time it hits, every unit that hits is getting 3 extra damage to the health pool. So especially when you times that by all the frontline infantry, times every time that they need to get a hit. This is also why it takes so long for hoplites to kill things. Is because they're almost always going off of minimum hit chance, which is 15%. So anytime a hoplite is in combat, you can usually guess that it's going to be hitting 15% of the time. They're very slow, but very good. We'll go ahead and I'm going to load in myself here and show you. RDI already has army, okay. Okay, so we have this ballista, and I know for our case, what we did is we took down these 2 towers right on this map. So I'm kind of trying to angle it roundabouts to where I'm kind of trying to hit the corner, right? Go ahead and take this off of fire at will. So I can go in here. I think the default is the insert key. I have it changed to X, but you can click this button too, the cinematic mode, or like I said, I think the default key is insert. You can change it, but for mine it's X. So I'll press this, and now I can manually aim with this artillery, right? Its sensitivity is super high, so if you have one of those DPI mouses that can change it, that really helps out. But I'm barely moving my mouse. It's really, really sensitive. And what I'll do is I will target the inside wedge of that tower. And it's basically going to make it to where every time I get a hit, right? And we'll see if we can't get one. This is a good one. This is going to get a double hit. You saw it hit that and the wall next to it. That means that if it's slightly to the left, it's still going to hit the tower. In certain situations on very specific maps, especially if it's a really tall tower, it can hit 3 times. If you get it right there in that pocket in the corner, you get double hits and stuff like that. And then to get out, it's usually insert, I think is the default, but for me it's X. And then again, I can't tell you what changing the pieces is because I've changed it and it's on my mouse now. But you can, there's a key to change which piece you're getting. And you see that angle is a lot different than with my number 1 piece here. Go ahead. Just with your mouse. So it's going to be in options and controls. You have all your controls here. So it might be battle. Cinematic mode. Cinematic camera here. That's the one to where you can manually control it. So I changed it to X. I think the default is insert. And then it's going to be if I can find it here. There is an about face key. I think the default is J. That's something that most people don't know. There is, and I'm trying to think of where it is. Change. Yes, that is cinematic mode and artillery is the manual fire mode. I'm just trying to remember how to toggle the different units and what the default keys for that are. It might be page up and page down. Yeah, page up, page down is your default. So insert, page up, page down. You can do the same with any unit. I can do it with my general unit here, and I can go through all the different individual guys of where I want the camera to be. It's just on artillery, it lets you manually fire it. If you don't have the left click to drag, you want it. I know a lot of people take it off. It annoyed me at first, but it is very, very good, especially for hoplites. Again, we'll do formation attack, guard mode. Those should be automatic every time. But if I have any situation to where I'm having issues with pathfinding with hoplites, what you can do is you put them in hoplite wall, wait for them to form up. You can see they're already fucking acting weird. And that's all I did. It's because they weren't still. They were facing this way, now they're facing that way. But I can manipulate this. I think control, you can spin it, and I can basically put it exactly where I want. So I want it like right there to face that way. That can help you out with hoplites and moving them. They're already in hoplite wall, they'll move in there. You do need to give them an attack order after they're done moving. Wait for them to stop moving. After it stops moving, then you can give your attack order to move it in there. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, well, I am definitely taking a little bit of a break. I think I should